Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is AJ's Opinions, Reviews, Rants and Raves. Today we're going to start with, I guess, an ironic opinion. I was one of the shoppers, went to the store and thought, I'd get a good deal on something. So I was actually in the market for a safe. So I was going up and down the aisles where the safes should be, trying to find my choice of safes, and never could find one. So finally I broke down and went up to someone who worked at the store and asked where they are. So she said, "Oh, I'll lead you there." And I said, just tell me where it's at. You're busy. I can go find it myself. She said, "No, can't. They're all locked up." And I said, "Excuse me?" And she said, "Yeah, they're locked up. We have to get them for you." And I said, "You locked a safe up to keep it from getting stolen?" And she said, yeah, they're locked up. So go to the other side of the store, and sure enough, the safes are behind glass, locked up. Okay, so this is getting a little ridiculous. I can understand jewelry. I can understand, guns and things of value, but to lock up a safe? I mean, isn't that what a safe is for? Apparently, all the smash and grab people are after those as well. So anyway, long story short, I ended up buying a safe. And I do want to apologize. I am a avid animal lover, and off and on through my videos, my dogs like to respond also. So you'll probably hear them bark or drop their toy or just be annoying. That's what they do best, but gotta love them. Anyway, back to my story. I ended up buying a safe that I bought over the years. Very good little safe. This is my third one, actually. I find it's very important to lock up things like your documents and passports and licenses. Of course, anyone can just pick the safe up and walk away with it, but these safes are very, very, helpful in case of flooding, or just to protect your media, old pictures, that kind of thing. Safe as it can be in case of fire. So I guess I am kind of promoting this because I do feel that it's important. I hear so many people that lose everything, and they lose all their important pictures and documents. I know, to me, things can be replaced. Furniture and clothing and that kind of thing can be replaced. The only thing that cannot be replaced is your pets, which for me, I have stickers all over my windows, whatever you do, just please save my pets if I'm not home. And other than that, it's my pictures. It's my, passport. It's memories that I like to have locked up. My flash drives of pictures, that kind of thing. So I do buy Honeywell. Honeywell is a very good little safe, and easy to use, easy to pack around. They're kind of heavy. I don't know, this one's probably 25 or 30 pounds, but even I can pick it up and carry it around. So good safe, easy to operate, looks like kind of like a little suitcase, and just right, the size. Different sizes for different needs. There's some the size of jewelry boxes and some the size of a camping cooler, whatever you need. But anyway, I do recommend Honeywell. For all your memories. Okay, now what I'm going to do is talk about the need for all of this stuff. It's ridiculous. People who smash and grab make it hard for those of us who are honest. Some of us like to go, and when you shop, you like to be able to pick things up and look at them and that kind of thing. That is a way of the past anymore, at least if you live in the area of Oregon that I live in. Anymore, everything is behind glass. You would think, anyone who decides to open up just a drive-through shopping store, because that's what you have to do essentially now. You have to go in, you find your item, you wait, you push a button that sometimes does not work, in which case you have to go hunt down one of the customer service people. Otherwise, you push the button and you sit there and wait. Okay, what do you wait for? Do you like doing laundry? You have to wait for your laundry soap. It's behind glass. Do you like wearing underwear? You have to wait for your underwear. It's behind glass. I don't know. Everything. Jeans, some shoes, camping items, tents. You name it. It is behind glass anymore. Vacuum cleaners, you can't just reach down and buy something anymore. It is again one of the things that is a way of the past. Let's see, lost track here. Anyway. If it wasn't for our younger generation and the flash mobs that occur, those people that just can't get out, earn a job, earn money from a job and use their money to buy things and, have to go and steal everything and drive the prices up for those of us who do actually work and spend our money on things like rent and utilities and items that we need to actually pay for. Just keep that in mind for the holiday season. Safety is another thing. You get out of your car at one of the stores and you're prepared to go in and buy your items. Just keep in mind, there's people that actually that's what they do, is sit in the parking lot waiting for people. They watch you. If you show any sign of confusion, if you carry your bag, across your shoulder and that kind of thing, don't do that. You want to go into it like you're fighting a war, because you are. You're fighting off the criminals. Make sure, some people I even advise, carry a decoy. Make yourself up a fake purse. Throw a few items in there, a bag of dog poop. Hey, that's always good for a shoplifter and thief to find, right? Well, anyway, just make you a decoy and carry it around. Put the real stuff. You just, take your cards and your cash, put in your front pocket, where it's easy for you to get but not easy for a thief. Don't put your stuff in your back pockets, because people bump into you all the time and take the stuff out of your back pockets. When I go into a store, I get a cart. My bag, I make sure it's zipped up well. The cart usually will have the straps that, hold the kids in. Well, hold your valuables in there. Put your purse in there, wrap the straps, real good with their straps and buckle it down, buckle it in. Put a couple of heavy items over the top of it. You've got to think, you got to really think and to defend and protect yourself. It's sad that it has to be that way, but it is. Again, as my other video pointed out, the times of trusting and looking innocent are over. Those who are innocent end up being the victims. Make sure that you're doing things, proactively. for instance, you know, if you're parked somewhere, remember where you park. When you come out of the store, and if you look at all confused, like you don't know where you're going or don't know what you're doing, you're a victim. And these people soar in on you just like vultures. So, you know, and if you notice somebody, you know, one person coming out of a store and they look, you know, they've got a lot of stuff. Maybe they've got a couple of kids that they're having to keep corralled, and not really paying attention, you know. Maybe you just kind of walk their way so somebody can kind of have their back. You know, it takes you a couple of seconds out of your way. Big deal. That's the secret. Strength in numbers, people. Strength in numbers. Wars are not fought with one person, they're fought with an army. You know, we've got to do something about these people that take advantage. And it's going to take a crowd of those of us who are honest, and those of us who believe that strength in numbers works. You know, nobody can face a gun, of course. You know, I'm not saying by all means if someone comes up with, you know, to you with a gun or a knife, you know, give it to them. Nothing is, you know, worth losing your life over or being fatally injured. But, you know, just be alert, be aware. Don't walk to your car with your face buried in your phone texting someone. That too is a sure sign. It's like having a big arrow over your head pointing down. Idiot, idiot, idiot. You know, that's what they look for. And, you know, when you leave that store, be on alert. Look both ways. Look behind you. Who cares if people think you're nuts for doing this? You're not going to be the one that's robbed. You know, it just, I don't know. It's sad. I have a few other choice words I'd like to use, and a few things that I'd really like to do to these thieves. Like, you know, I sit there and I've been watching the Porch Pirate videos. If no one has seen those yet, watch them. They're really quite informational and very funny. You know, I saw somebody stealing someone's package off their porch, and package blew guts all over this person. It was so funny. Got what they deserved. One of the, you know, the packages usually blow up like paint or chalk or something, but sometimes people get pretty creative. They throw some good stuff in there. This one idiot was trying to steal someone's package, and it blew up paint all over him. And then he goes to the door cam and he's threatening to sue the guy that, you know, that it ruined everything and stuff. Now, only in America, right? Yeah, only in America can the thief sue the person who was the victim. But yeah, it happens. I just hope that the judge and the jury or whoever is trying the case when it does go to court, you know, has a brain. You know, none of this politically correct crap. Come on. Back in the old days when people packed a sidearm around, there was a lot less theft. People weren't robbed. And no, for those who are anti-gun, and I'm not a, you know, some fanatic who believes in all this, you know, carry all the guns and machine guns and all that. No, nobody needs a damn machine gun except an arm. If you're in the army, nobody needs a machine gun. Not for protecting your home, you know. But anyway, another video coming. Just, you know, especially with the holidays, watch out for one another. Keep your eye out. My upstairs neighbor texted me, and he was telling me about having 2 of his packages stolen already. Come on. You know, it just, and like these drivers, these Amazon drivers and UPS and even the postal workers. If you're leaving a package on someone's porch, knock on the damn door. Just knock. It takes a split second. Knock on the door and alert them that you put a package outside of their door. You know, let's watch out for one another. You know, it's just unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I know, and I tell my friends and family, well, family I have left, I tell them I don't want to live to be old. It's scary the way things are going, and the idiots that are out there, the next generation who's allowing this, you know, don't allow it. You know, those of us, you know, from other generations, you think we're violent, or you think everything's wrong. You know, punish your child, give them a little spanking for doing something that's crazy. Oh my God, you know, no. I thank the fact that my mom gave me a spanking. When I did something wrong, I knew I was doing something wrong, she'd give me a spanking. And thank God she did. I'd probably be robbing banks today and being like these porch pirates. She spanked me. And, you know, it doesn't hurt anything. Even the animal world, gorillas, you know, everything, bears, everything. They teach their young. That's what you're supposed to do. You know, oh, well, I'm going to take your phone away. Let's go sit in the corner until you remember. Screw that. You know, pat them on the butt. Make them remember these things. Make them do something. Actually go out and clean the yard, or make them, you know, do something that's going to make them remember. You know, they say, oh, well, then the new generation is different. Yeah, they're different. They're worthless. You know, and we're teaching them to be that way. You've got to teach your kids, people. This world is going down the tubes. You know, that's why we have the flash mobs. When I was growing up, we didn't have flash mobs. You know, we had a shoplifter, you know, and they would get arrested. Actually arrested, not, you know, they were afraid of getting arrested. Today, oh my gosh, don't you arrest them. They'll have a lawsuit against you. What in the, what? Come on. You know, that's why it's the way it is. Do something about it. Be proactive. Help, you know, help somebody. You know, if you see someone in trouble, don't stop and film it for YouTube. Help them. You know, it's unbelievable. And so this actually started as an opinion, and now I guess it's a rant, because yeah, I'm pissed. It's just crazy, unbelievable. And I know there's got to be one or two of you who agree, and I know there's probably a whole load of you who don't. But that's your opinion. And, you know, that's okay with me. Everyone has a right to one. You know, how does that saying go? The saying, what is it? Everyone has one and some of them stink. You know, I won't say what they're in reference to, but, you know, because again, someone out there will sue me for saying it. But, you know, just step in and help. Anyway, enough about this video. I have advised of buying a safe to protect your stuff. I've tried to give some helpful advice to these people who are shopping. You know, let's get it back. Let's get it back again. Let's fight all this crap. Get it back to where we can walk into a store and pick up something and actually look at it, and without having to wait 30 minutes to call one of the courtesy clerks to unlock the door. You know, if we all do something about it, it'll get back to normal. It doesn't have to be this way. Anyway, I will end this video, and again, I'm, you know, if I offended you, I'm sorry. but that is my opinion that I'm entitled to, just like you or have your opinions about me, and you're entitled to that. I'm not asking anyone to be my friend. Doesn't hurt my feelings. I've got a tough outer coat. You know, that's called life and learning your lessons. Builds character, builds strength. And, you know, I don't go running crying if someone calls me a name. I don't, you know, if you disagree with me, well, hey, let's agree to disagree. Big deal, you know. It's just one of those things, people. Kind of like I was talking with someone the other day. When I grew up, if someone did something extraordinary, if someone worked very, very hard at doing something, like you worked to be a star athlete, or you worked very hard and studied very hard to be a master mathematician, whatever, you know, when you got a reward for it, you earned it. You know, everyone doesn't need a good job sticker. You know, who cares if it hurts their feelings? It makes them work harder for something. You know, I can understand if there's situations where maybe people are mentally, you know, challenged or physically challenged, that kind of thing. You know, I feel bad about that, but there are you know, the Special Olympics. There are things, you know, where people can level up and go against people in situations the same. Not saying that they shouldn't go against someone that's you know, 100% everything works for them. But you know, those who do work hard, give them credit. You know, if they win a trophy, give them credit for it, because they worked hard. They weren't born just getting it. They worked for it. The days of working for things are also gone. You know, it takes the reward out of it. You know, why bother? Why bother to work so hard for something if everyone gets the same kudos? You know, I don't know. That too I'm going to hear about. You know, I'm sorry. It just, you know, give credit where credit is due. Help people who need help. You know, take a moment to care. Take a moment to be observant about things. You know, don't be afraid to speak up. I get a lot of backlash because I speak my word. A few of my employers have told me in the past that, you know, I'm very upfront about it, and I am, you know, I'm sorry if you don't like it. I believe in being honest. And I will, you know, bite my tongue for as long as I can, but I was working with this one, I'm sorry, she was an idiot. She really was an idiot. But you know, she was lazy. She wouldn't do anything except text. She'd sit in her chair texting, doing nothing. And she come up to me and she said, "Well, you don't like me very good, do you?" I said, "No." And she, well, why? Why? You really want to know why? And I told her. And of course, she put a complaint in about me to my supervisor, and my supervisor, she said, "Well, that's the thing. You ask her, and she'll tell you." Yeah, I will. I'll just tell. You know, if more people will do that, just be honest. It saves a lot of hard feelings later. Get it out on the table. Work it out. You know, if you're so afraid to say anything, you know, because you're going to get sued, because you misinterpret something or say something that someone takes offense to. You know, I remember I was listening to the radio. I can't remember what station it was, but right after 9/11, I remember one of the DJs on there was talking about he had a friend that worked in an office building, and it's one of these office buildings where, oh well, everyone's the same. Nobody's allowed to show any kind of religion. Nobody's allowed to state an opinion. Nobody's allowed to do anything. He put a flag up. It was right after 9/11. He put a tiny American flag on his desk. And someone who is Muslim took offense to it, and complained to the boss. I'm sorry, if we personally have to put up with everyone else's religion and beliefs, I'm sorry, they have to put up with ours, especially living in America right after 9/11. Yes, there's going to be some pissed off people, and they're going to be more patriotic because their country was attacked. Their people were killed, and they're gonna be mad, and they're gonna want people to know how they feel. Nothing is wrong with that, people. If I want to go somewhere, and for instance, I work in healthcare, and we're not allowed to lean toward one way or another. You will offend somebody. Holidays comes. Christmas, to me, that's a Christian holiday. It's not about Santa bringing you toys. It's about Jesus and the whole Christian thing. That's my right. That's my opinion. And just because you're a different religion, I don't go attacking you. If you're Jewish, great, you're Jewish. If you're Muslim, great, that's your choice. If you're atheist, that's your choice too. Don't attack people because they think differently. Is it physically hurting you? Did they come up and whack you upside the head with something? No. That's their belief. Just allow them to have their belief. They're not hurting anybody. The big melting pot. Yeah, it's a big melting pot as long as you're not a Christian American, Anyway, there's another video, and I know I'm going to hear about this one too. But hey, again, it's my opinion. You're watching my channel. If you don't like it, just watch something else. Scroll by. That's what I do when I run across things I don't agree. I may comment on it, but again, my opinion. You don't have to like it. But you don't have to just be a hater about it all. Life is way too short to hate. You can dislike, but when you just spend your life hating, what a waste of time. It eats you up. Have they ever maybe tracked down the true cause of cancer? Maybe it's hate. Maybe hate causes cancer. There's a hell of a lot of people out there who hate. And there's just as many who have cancer. It just, people, just think. Use your head for something besides holding your hat on or plugging your earbuds into. Hey, let's not forget the younger generation. Anyway, I guess I've said enough. I'm gonna hear about all of this, I'm sure. But again, my opinion. You tuned into my channel. You're gonna get some honest stuff. Just honesty. And one of my very honest statements. I'm very much pro-animal and wildlife conservation. I do animal rescue. So yeah, that's my opinion too. On that, people complain, oh, well, you should be saving such and such, or you waste your time on the animals. You should be doing this. Again, that's my opinion. If that is your belief, by all means, help that organization, help that crowd of people. Everyone has a choice of who they want to help. Yeah, I would love to be able to help multiple causes. If I had the money, I would. If I was someone one of these billionaires out there that make money by showing their butt on videos, or strutting around singing a song, or just, stupid things. If I was one of those people, I would do good with my money. It's not about piling the money up in the bank. You can't take it with you. Yeah, maybe you can fill your coffin up with it, but there's only so much you can put in your coffin, right? I mean, people share. You see all these people. You have more money than you can spend in a lifetime. Do something. Make a difference in the world. Though it's just sad. Those of us who don't have the money would gladly do it. Oh, well, you'd be different too. No, I wouldn't be different. That is how I feel. That's how I've always felt. I would give my last dime to help somebody, to help an animal. There was a situation when I was first divorced. I lived in my car because I loved my animals, and I wasn't going to part with them. There's some things in this life that are more valuable. I know back when I was married, I was working 3 and 4 jobs at one time. Very industrious, very poor, but yeah, I would work. I'd work, and I had my animals, and I remember one of my dogs. I adopted him from a rescue. He was old to start with. He was probably around 13. Nobody really knew. Gave me so much love. Made me feel so good. Little guy got cancer. I spent my last dime helping because I loved him. And I remember my ex-husband, he goes, "You love those damn dogs more than you do me." And I said, "You got it. They don't lie to me. They don't cheat on me. They don't steal from me. And they love it when I come home. You bet I love them." And, it was okay if I wanted to spend the money on a boat or some stupid material thing for him. But on something that brought me so much joy in this life, as my pets, that he didn't like that. Well, got news for him. It was my money. I was working 4 jobs to his 1. So, anyway, on that note, I want to leave everyone again. Just please be safe. Please be aware. Help others, especially with the holiday season. Help them. Watch out for one another. Make a difference. Let's put all these porch thieves and flash mobs, let's put their asses in jail. There's no need for that. Work hard, and you might get something in this life. You don't have to steal it from everybody. Anyway, my mantra: please spay and neuter your pets. There's so many loving pets in shelters that are just, and these pets, when you rescue an animal, when you go to a shelter, they know it. They know that that's it for them. Their family, they may have spent years loving and protecting their family. Oh, I want a puppy, and there goes your old dog into the shelter. What kind of reward is that? Throw them away. Those are the kind of animals that will die for you. They'll, if the place is on fire, they'll get you out of there some way. Those are the animals that mean something. Go to a rescue. Don't take one out and decide, oh, no, don't want them, take them back. Don't do that to them. If you are truly wanting to adopt an animal, do it for life. That's what I do. I have 3. And I keep them till the very end. No matter what, I keep them to the very end. They're there for me. I'm there when it comes time for their last breath. I won't make them go through that alone. I'm there for them. do that. You know, you want to do something worthwhile for the holiday, do that. Go adopt. Adopt a cat, adopt a dog, adopt a horse, a bird, turtle, you know, a snake, if that's what you're into. Just adopt. You know, these animals, just beautiful, beautiful animals. And you look, you know, you look at their little faces, you see these videos. It's heartbreaking. You know, we have let them down. You know, who cares if they're old, and now it's time to care for them. You know, you don't throw them away. You care for them. Just adopt one. I guarantee you it will give you more love than you've ever had from a brand new $2,000 dog from a, you know, a breeder's kennel. I guarantee you that mongrel or whatever it is that you find in the shelter, purebred too, people throw those away too. I guarantee you to give you more love than anything in this life. It will be by your side. So again, please spay or neuter, and please adopt, don't shop. Have a wonderful Black Friday for those who survived and those who are still out in the trenches. Hope you make it home. Anyway, talk to you guys later. Take care. Bye-bye.